Good morning, guys. My name is Sharon Restrepo. I am with 32 West Realty here in South Florida, and our company caters to real estate investors. I personally love everything about real estate. I eat, breathe, and sleep real estate, and I love teaching it as well. So we're full-time investors as well as a brokerage, and we have been doing this for a long time in South Florida. And today I'm going to share some things that you might be interested in learning about. Whether you're a real estate agent or an investor or a builder or a developer, we're going to talk about buying vacant lots. In hot markets, builders and developers are always looking for opportunities. And if you know what to look for, you might be able to participate in some of that profit as well. So whether you are a real estate agent or investor, you can make money with little to no risk finding hidden landmines. Let's talk about what to look for, how to find it, and how to make money with it. All right, first we have to find the lot. So I'm just going to cover a few ways that we can do that. And one is lead generation marketing. Okay, so if you're an investor, you've probably been to many workshops where you are taught about lead generation. How are you going to get sellers with properties to call you? And so you might mail. You'll notice the mailbox full of mail there. You might mail to people who own vacant lots, who've owned them for a while. Maybe they're behind on their taxes with the lot. They haven't done anything with it. Maybe it's inherited and it's owned by an estate and it's just sitting. Maybe a few years ago it was listed for sale. The listing expired. And so you know that there's probably an intention that they want to sell it, but they didn't get what they were looking for at the time. Maybe there's an interest now. And so you revisit these folks with your mailers, with your phone calls, with your door knocks, whatever it is you're doing to aggressively seek them out. And there's a lot of lead generation marketing for that, a lot of tools for you to find those mailing lists to mail to them. And specifically, you're mailing to owners of vacant lots, vacant parcels of land. It really all depends on your budget and what you're seeking. And this is a way to kind of cut out all the middlemen and go straight to the owner of the property to negotiate your deal. And if you're a listing agent, you're obviously trying to go straight to that owner to list that property if they do have an intention to sell it. All right, and then there's another one that we talk about, and I call it driving for dollars. You know, whenever I am out, doesn't matter if I'm going to the grocery store or I'm going on an appointment to see another property, my eyes are always looking. I'm looking for sale by owner signs. I like to see for sale by owner signs where the writing is faded off and it's broken and it looks like it's been sitting there forever and there's no interest. So I like to call on those. And I like to look for vacant parcels or vacant properties that maybe they're overgrown. No one's doing anything with it. There's a lot of garbage piled up on it. So I'll take note. I might snap a photo and I'll go back and I'll look up in public records who owns that. And is there a way for me to mail them, call them, whatever, see if they're interested in selling that property. Okay, so I call that driving for dollars, and that's great because it's right here in my own backyard where I have the most knowledge and ability to move that property. Okay, and then of course there's always realtors, MLS, and internet, and that's where the sellers are actively marketing their properties for sale. They do have an interest in selling right now, and that's my least favorite way to look for property because I'm not the only buyer. See, I like to be in a tank where I'm the only buyer and there's only sellers and me. And so that's why I prefer the other ways where I've got them coming to me or I'm pursuing them. Okay. And so, but doesn't mean I don't get deals from realtors and MLS. I absolutely do. So I like to do a lot of networking with realtors because I'm a broker myself, but I don't participate in the commission because I want the property, right? I'm really an investor at heart. And so I'm hoping that when they take a listing for a piece of property, they're going to call me with it and say, hey, Sharon, I just took this listing, my seller's motivated, and here's what he's asking. And so I like to have that first opportunity in. At the same time, realtors know that their seller's been sitting on a property, they've turned down a lot of offers, now they're finally willing to look at a more realistic offer. And so, that's great too, but I've got to have relationships. So relationship, networking, and perusing the MLS and the internet myself are all ways that I can find properties for sale, including these vacant lots or parcels that I'm looking for. Okay, so that is in a nutshell, okay, because I don't have a lot of time here to go into, a ton of ways. We're just going to keep it simple today. And so now we've got to make sure that the property is desirable. So through our lead generation techniques, we found a few vacant lots we're going to do a little bit more due diligence on now, and let's see if they're going to be viable. All right, so this is our due diligence period of time. We're going to look at comparable sales. Sometimes even in a hot market, it's hard to find comps on a vacant lot. I literally just did comps on a property the other day because the house is sitting there, but it's a total tear down. It's a waste of money to even try and rebuild that home because it's so old anyway. And so it's just full of mold. It's nasty. So tear it down. But it's in a very desirable neighborhood. Well, when I did a comparable search to see, what does it sell for at land value? Then the most recent sale was a year prior in another part of the neighborhood further from the water. And so it really wasn't apples to apples. And so it was hard to comp, I really have to back into it and go, what ultimately is an investor or builder or developer going to do with this property? And then what are they going to sell it for? So if I back into it that way, I can see, how much would they need to pay for this piece of land? And let me tell you, when you're buying a piece of vacant land that is not yet vacant, like something has to be removed, well, you need to determine the price to remove that structure, because that has a part of the picture here. Okay, it's not just a vacant piece of land we can go start building on. We've got to pay to remove, tear it down and remove it. Okay, so that has a cost to it. We need to take that factor into our negotiations. All right, so we want to find out what we think it's worth. All right, and maybe we even have to call some appraisers, call some active realtors in the neighborhood who work with builders and developers, that type of thing. Okay, but the typical realtor is not going to have your answer. You need someone who's more of an expert on what's going to be taking place on that lot and what does that make that dirt worth. Okay, then we want to know the size of the lot, the zoning of the parcel in the area, and what could it be used for. And we also want to find out, can we change that use? Is there an opportunity to change that use? Because maybe there's a better use. Sometimes if we want to come in and build residential and we can only build a single family home, it doesn't have as much value as if we could build a duplex or a triplex, multiple units. So we want to find out, can we change the density? And sometimes, guys, it's more than a simple call to the building department. You actually have to go for an appointment, and it might take you 3 weeks out before you can sit down with the right people inside building and zoning that can go, oh yeah, here's what you can do. But at the surface, when you just go on the internet, you're not going to see what you need to see that gives you the value that is really hidden. Okay, and that's why most people probably have walked away already. They just don't have enough expertise to know that you got to push a little further to get the right information. I was buying a half-acre piece of property that had a fourplex sitting on it, and it was sitting at one end. So there's a big piece of empty property there. And when at first call, they said, no, you can't do anything else there. You can only put, you're at your max, right? But it was a 3-week appointment for me to go in and find out what else I could do with it. So I went ahead and I put in for the appointment. It's free. You just have to get on a waiting list. And I told the seller, look, I can't negotiate with you any better than where I'm at until I can go in and sit down with them. So you need to give me the time. So the seller gave me the time, and the seller actually went with me. Okay, not necessarily what I would like to do, because they tell me something great, I could actually lose my deal, right? So anyway, we found out that we could put a total of 6 units there, and they didn't care if they were all 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, it didn't matter. So I was able to then buy this property knowing that I could put another duplex or I could add on to what was already there. So I had a lot of options, and it was about a $30,000 cost to do so. So see, they went through all the costs with me because they were going to make me purchase more dirt from them in order to buy the right to put the 2 units on the parcel. So there's a lot of that goes on. Sometimes with parking lots that happens, right? I had to have 2 more parking spaces where I used to be. And so I had to buy 2 parking spaces from the city if I wanted to do that. And it didn't matter that the parking spaces were 5 miles from my building. Okay. I just had to pay them the money for those spaces. And then miraculously, I could fit 2 more cars at my lot. So I don't know how that works still. That didn't go down, but that was the story back then. Okay, so back to vacant land though. All right, so anyway, so you get in there, so the story was a lot different from the first phone call all the way to that appointment. And then I was able to leave with the due diligence documentation that I could show to a potential buyer that what I was saying was valid and they could just go verify it. Okay, so that due diligence is very important if I'm going to list the home or I'm going to actually put it under contract because I want to flip it as an investor, right? Okay, so all of those things about what I can do with the lot are very important. There's a lot of money being made by people who are taking a piece of land, getting a long due diligence period, and going in and changing the use of that property to a more productive, more profitable use. And then all of a sudden, the value of the land skyrockets, and then that investor finds a buyer based on the new use he was able to get, and he flips the property, never even owning it, making a lot of money for his efforts in walking through the system and doing that. So, keep these things in mind. This is where, your knowledge turns into a big paycheck. All right. So then the last thing and there's a lot more, guys. I'm keeping it simple today so you can get your whistle wet, so to speak, and go out and learn more. All right. So who is the property good for? Now you found this out. Now who's your target market? Okay. You've acquired the seller. You've got your due diligence. You found out that I am paying a really good price. In fact, I'm paying such a good price that I can mark it up by $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, whatever it is. And I'm going to make a nice profit selling it to this certain type of buyer. Now, maybe that buyer is a builder who's going to build a duplex and keep it for himself, or maybe he's a developer and he wants to bring a builder in and put a few townhomes on the property or a commercial property, whatever it is. But the use is for someone. Who is that good for? And that's who you're going to market the property to now that you've tied it up with a right price, you've got some due diligence to show, and then now you're going to market it with that due diligence. Say, here, plug it in and play. Let's close. All right, let's move on to the next topic here. So now we've got to negotiate price, right? So I kind of forwent this, but anyway, so real estate agents want to list the property, right? So you're trying to convince the seller to list it at a good price along with the due diligence that you have in order to bring a buyer to the table. Maybe if you're lucky, multiple buyers and you'll have a bidding war, all right? Investors want to flip it. So they either want to buy it and then turn it right back around and put it on the market with the new use or whatever added value they believe it is, all right? Builders want to build on it, and the value is based on how much they can build and what they can sell it for, ultimately their profit, right? And developers want to do the same thing. They want to develop it, and the wealthy want to land bank, right? So sometimes you can just find buyers who are willing to put their money into land. And it may not even have to have a lot of equity in it today. They're just land banking. And this is where they believe that the wealth is going to accumulate in land, and they'll buy land all over. So they won't do anything with it. They don't have a plan for it yet. They're just banking on appreciation in that dirt rather than in the bank. Okay, so those are potential buyers for you as well. So based on all of these things, we're going to negotiate the best price that gets the job done for what our role is in the picture, right? So now when we go to market and sell this vacant lot, guys, these are the important things that we need to do when we go to sell it. Number one, we need to price it right. So whether I'm taking a listing, I don't want to waste my time. I don't like to waste my time. I want to know that I'm going to make money and the property is going to sell. All right. And if I'm flipping it, I want to know that I'm buying it for a right price, and I've got a spread there to sell it to one of my buyers and make money doing that. And the best way for me to do that, the best way for all of us to ensure a profit and a paycheck, is to have our due diligence done and ready, available for our buyers. That diligence includes a survey. So, when I'm buying a parcel of land, surveys aren't that cheap, right? It's a parcel of land. It's a different story. So if there's not a history of a prior survey that I can go from, that I'm bringing in a surveyor just to come in for the first time, basically, it's going to cost me, quite a bit. I might spend, in the thousands for that survey, a few thousand. The last parcel of land that I did was 5 acres, and it cost me about $1,550, which I thought was extremely reasonable. And I got the survey for that property. I want to get all types of approvals. If there are approvals already, in the municipality written that allow me to do what I think is most profitable with that property, then I want to have my hands on those approvals. I want to have a list of of important contact info to all of those powers that be that my potential buyer would want to call and verify everything before they pull the trigger, right? So I want to have that ready available. I want to say, hey, just go online and find them. I want to be ready, to get my paycheck quickly. Maybe I want to have area demographics. Here's why I think this land is so valuable. There's no more housing. We can't find enough rentals for our tenants. We need a 5-plex here. I could rent it like this. If you build it, they will come, kind of thing. Whatever it is. Important area demographics. Hey, there's a new plant coming in a mile away. They're going to need housing. What's the story? What's going on in the area? Okay, and bring me the proof. Okay, available incentives. Now, if the property is located in an area where there's a CRA or there's development money available through the local municipalities and cities, then they will have incentives to bring the builders and developers in and say, hey, if you'll build some low-income housing or if you'll build this kind of thing, we're going to give you the money. We're going to give it to you free. We're going to grant it, or we're going to give it to you at 3%. Whatever it is, if you do this, here's the money. So I want to find out about incentives available, contact numbers for them to call, and what that plan looks like. And then I want to have my title and lien search done. I don't want to do all of that and then find out I can't sell the property, something's wrong with title, and there's some major lien. Okay, so all of this is important. So when I get involved in a property, if I'm a listing agent, I want my seller to provide and pay for these items that bring a buyer to the table. Okay, I want my seller to be willing to do that. If they're not willing to do that, then they need to adjust the price accordingly. And if I'm the one tying up the property because I think it's a good enough buy, then I'm going to invest, all right? I'm only going to tie it up if I think it's worth it, because I'm going to spend money on a survey. I'm going to spend money on title and lien. I'm going to do all of this because in return for those pennies that I spend, I'm going to earn a nice paycheck, okay? And I find that most investors refuse to spend a dime, not only on their education, but on their deals to make money. And then they're constantly losing money because they're canceling deal after deal after deal and wasting their time because they haven't done the work that makes it easy for the buyer to say yes. Okay, so with vacant lots, it's a little more due diligence you've got to go through to do this because you're selling an idea of what you can do with the dirt. Okay, and we're going to profit on that idea. All right. Okay. So what I like to do personally, I'll give you a couple of examples and we'll wrap up. I mean, I'm always marketing. Like I told you, we're a brokerage here. We love to deal in off-market properties, and that's what we sell to our clients. We also renovate the properties for them, manage them for them. So whether they're local or they're not, we provide a variety of services. Okay. So for us personally, I'm not really pursuing vacant land and vacant lots. It's not my thing. I'm just not a dirt lover, so to speak, okay? But just by way of what I do, people call me and want to sell their dirt. So they'll say, hey, I own this lot. I own these lots. I have this parcel of land. Are you interested? I'm always interested if the price is right. So what I will do is I will ask the price. I'll do my normal questioning, getting all the information. I'll do my due diligence. I'll ask all of the questions we just went through. I'll ask them if they have a survey, if they know what can be built there, X, Y, Z, and then I'll make a deal with them. And most of the time, I don't really want to buy their dirt, but I will tell them, listen, here's what I'll do. I'm going to put your property under contract because I'm going to use my inspection period to try and assign my contract. This is what I think I can get for it, and then my buyer will pay me on top of that. So if you're happy with this price, let's do this. And it's usually, people call me to buy their homes, not to list their homes. So for those of you who are realtors listening and you are putting yourself out as a listing agent and not a buyer, then that's a different phone call for you, okay? No one's calling me to list their property. They're calling me to buy it, all right? So when I list properties, it's because they're my own or they're my clients and we've already done the renovations and that's what we're doing, okay? So otherwise, I want you guys to list the properties. And in any event, the last one I did was a gentleman had 2 lots. He needed to sell. It was not a hot market. See, right now we're in a hot market. And so land is being bought up like this, even these little lots. So, go out and get the lots, guys. There's not a lot of people pursuing the lots. They're all pursuing houses. So if you're a new wholesaler trying to get started, this is a great place for you because you'll reduce the amount of competition you're up against, okay? And then call me, I'll buy it. So anyway, or I'll sell it. But anyway, this guy called me, had 2 buildable residential lots. One was on a railroad track, and I don't know, one of them, the railroad track ran through it. I don't know. They were just not desirable. And I ended up telling him I would give him $2,500 for the pair. I mean, because I didn't want them, so I didn't care. I'm like, look, you don't want $2,500, that's fine with me, but I don't want it either. So, because I knew I just wasn't going to be able to pull a lot out of it. Anyway, the person agreed. They gave me like a long time with it, but I sold it relatively quickly. I want to say within 2 weeks for $5,000 or $5,500 or something like that. So I made $2,500 or $3,000 just off of that phone call. That normally I don't like to put any phone call down. When I have a seller who wants to sell a property and we can make a deal, that's a phone call that's going to turn into a paycheck, in my opinion. And so, well, that's what happened, right? So they were happy. I was happy. But if I was a real estate agent taking a listing call for a couple of lots at $2,500, that's a lot of my time for very little commission. And that's why I like to teach real estate agents how to expand what they're doing or set a minimum commission amount for their hard work, because you guys work very hard and you don't demand a big paycheck for yourself. And that's where you need to change your mindset about that. So I've been an investor for way too long to, turn back into a realtor. At least that mentality and anything. And I have nothing against agents. I'm a broker. I love it. I just want to help you guys make more money. And because you guys are on the front lines of real estate, and if you really educated yourself with all the training that you can get from Learn from Green, you can make so much more money. So what I like to do is just that exact story there, guys, is to find them, negotiate them, execute a contract, get that due diligence, market it to my buyers, assign my contract, and close on it and take that profit. So it's that easy. And I know I talked really fast today. I didn't even have coffee this morning, but I just wanted to try and get out a whole new wholesale concept for you right now. It's a hot market. There's vacant lots everywhere. Go out there and find them, and you can do this. And so thanks for tuning in today, guys. If you want to reach out to me, you can reach me at 32S Realty. I'll give you my contact information in a second. And I just wanted to remind you, there's a lot of property out there. I just said that. And you can reach me at Sharon R at 32srealty.com if you want to get on our buyers list. If you'd like us to provide any services for you, feel free to give us a call anytime. And like I said, when you take the time to educate yourself, you will increase your knowledge and increase your income. Learnfromgreen.com. Check us out, because they offer real estate investing and other amazing topics via online interactive video conference classes just like this one that you can participate in every single day. Again, thanks for tuning in. I'm Sharon Restrepo with 32S Realty, wishing you a great day.